Hello and welcome. As usual, I will need a little bit of time just to set up and post on all the socials that it's time to get started. And I have a command that I launch as well to post on all the discords that I'm integrated with. And we're good, that's done. So, yeah, great. Well, welcome to the daily NFT market health analysis with me, Daniel Tenner, aka Swombat, where we look at what's happening in the market in terms of data rather than just vibes, although we can also consider the vibes from time to time. And today, for once, I have some positive news. Like, it looks the charts look, I mean, I'm just reporting what the charts are reporting. And what the charts are reporting is we're still holding that uptrend. And not only that, but if we skip ahead because we want to and jump to the I can't draw a straight line still. If we jump to this this chart, this longer term chart, we can see that we've broken past the downtrend. But no matter how you draw this line, I mean, if I try to draw it more properly, let's see, where was the tool for this? It was this one. And I try to draw a line like this. Like, no matter how I draw this line, it's still like, if I want to be conservative like this, like right from the top, or maybe I go and say, well, no, actually it's from the bottom of this, but it has to include like one of the, like we're above this line basically. And that's a good sign because that's what we wanted to see. Quickly answering the question. Yeah, feel free to ask questions as you go. This data captures all the marketplaces for Ethereum NFTs. It doesn't capture Solana or Cardano, but it gets the data from the blockchain via an API called Moralis for all the Ethereum NFTs, whether they're on LooksRare or OpenSea, or like they're still mostly on OpenSea, but so yeah, we're above this uptrend for now, and that's a good thing. I don't see how to present this as anything other than a good thing, and we will see how long it lasts, and that's where there's a note of caution. But I want to start with the good news, and actually this is, to me, this is when having charts and like continuing to mine the charts becomes particularly essential, because things can change quite rapidly in the NFT space, and if they do change, often the vibes will not change as quickly. And if we see, for example, this actually, like right now, maybe a lot of people are feeling bullish, and if we see this drop back down quite rapidly, we might be like, okay, maybe this is not actually a bull market yet, whilst other people will still be talking about bull market for several days, I think, or maybe even weeks after there's no longer any sign of a bull market. So let's go into our regular review of the charts. What we see, so like, we've already talked a bit about the top 10. We have like a fairly nice rise happening in Zeneca Old, and we're going to look at the bar charts as well to validate that a little bit. We're not seeing much yet in Zeneca New. In fact, it kind of just broke its sort of steady uptrend and like sort of dipped down a little bit here. Not too much to be concerned about. In my view, if this continues in this direction, this is going to follow. And similarly for the women-led projects, not looking great. Although it's tried again to go towards the 30-day SMA and failed. Zeneca New got above the 30-day SMA and then came back down. Zeneca Old is above the 30-day SMA, and if we look at, in fact, also the top 10 is also above the 30-day SMA, and interestingly, it's broken above that and above that downtrend at the same time, which is pretty cool. Pretty nifty anyway. If we look at the bar charts, we can see that the volume from the top 10 is definitely looking fairly healthy. There's a good mix of projects. Yes, there was a nice big pump of Basie there, but it's not the only thing that's driving the volume up. Even if you ignore that, there is a kind of trend that can be seen there of increasing volumes. So that's good. That looks healthy. Yesterday, when we looked at Zeneca Old, I was saying that if it's all coming from Mooncats, that's not very sustainable. But look, there's other projects coming in, this white project, whatever it is. There's still some activity in Mooncats, and Some other projects peeping up, and obviously some of the projects that are also in the top 10. I think Macy is somewhere in there as well. And so that's looking fairly healthy. That is like a healthy market activity. This last 4-hour slot that we've got is ridiculously low. That often happens somehow just before my reports. The market decides to have a very low activity for our period. I'm not too concerned about that, although it does look very low on those. It actually kind of makes me wonder if somehow I'm missing something in my charts. But I don't think so, because it all generated fine. So I think that's just the market activity at the moment. So something must have driven the activity down. Maybe the gas went up and I didn't spot that. If somebody knows about that, please do let me know. But on the whole, apart from this last candle here or this last bar here, everything looks pretty good. If we now, so like as we've been saying, like with the top 10, we've got, why is the line no longer appearing? Well, it doesn't matter. We've had our downtrend. We're now out of it, probably. Where the dominant trend is now this uptrend. Let's see how long it holds. As long as it holds, we'll be, heading up, and it's quite a sharp rise up actually. So as long as it holds, we're heading to a bull market fairly quickly. And actually, if we look at the volume of where we are now, knowing this is the hybrid top 10 that includes that sort of progressively replaces irrelevant projects with more relevant ones, we are actually in bull market range. We're not at the peak of a bull market. We're not in one of the spikes, but that's good because this range lasts longer usually than the spikes. The spikes, as you can see, are all spikes. They kind of collapse after a spike. So if we can stay here and maintain volume around here and even just trend sideways, so even if we break this support line and just start trending sideways, this is a really good place to be. The market will like this, I think. Other indices will start following. And just generally, this is going to feel quite bullish in the market. And I would expect if we do hold this, that prices will also follow. So price is the red line for those who are jumping in who haven't seen this before. Cool. And if we now go to the Zeneca Old, so you've seen there was a lot of activity from Mooncats, but even as that activity has subsided, other stuff has picked up, and still we are in that sort of uptrend there. It is looking fairly decent there. On the longer range, we have also broken the downtrend here, although we kind of collapsed back below it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it continued like this now. Obviously, I don't know. I can't tell the future, but that's what I'm expecting here. That said, it's interesting to note that prices are still dropping, even though the volume there has gone up. So on average, the market is not yet buying those. Maybe people are still liquidating them to buy other things, like to try and buy moonbirds or other things. But volume is going up, and that's usually a healthy sign for the market. And prices usually end up following that. In fact, we've got also that kind of golden cross there. Is it also in the top 10? It's not yet in the top 10. Oops. It's not yet here in the top 10. But in Zeneca Old, we've already got, I don't know if it's worth calling this a golden cross, but anyway, it's that kind of crossing of two different SMAs. And if this continues up, which it might, that's bullish for this Zeneca Old index. So let's see what happens. That is part of the note of caution, actually, that I want to bring. Whilst I'm very positive at the moment, there are different reasons why there might be increased activity right now. This Macy pump is apparently due to some news about other sides, like the other side release, the kind of land release that Macy is going to do. But there's general increased market activity there, not just that particular pump. But one of the theories is that basically Moonbirds has kind of, people were holding back their liquidity to be able to buy into Moonbirds, and now that's kind of unfolded, and so there's more liquidity going around. It could also be that Moonbirds has drawn a bunch of attention, but then that attention will go down quite rapidly after it's come in. So there's a number of things that can go wrong basically with this scenario. The more connected it is to a news event, usually the less it is sustainable, unless it's followed by another news event and another news event, and kind of escalating news event, one more hype than the next, which we may well have this month with not just Moonbirds, but also the Base sale, and who knows, maybe Coinbase will choose to launch in this market. It wouldn't be a bad call. At last, like, you know, everybody was probably forgotten about them by now. So yeah, the Seneca Old Index is looking fairly decent for now, and let's see how it does as Moonbird subsides. Does it continue up, or does it go back down? I suspect, as usual, that will be determined by what happens to the top 10. Seneca New, as we've said, they're not looking too great. Maybe it's just a dip. I don't know what's caused this dip in the last 4-hour period, but there's clearly a great dip in activity, and that's probably why this index is looking down. And the women-led projects index as well, again, not that much to see here. It's just like hovering down here in this range at the bottom, really at sort of basically near historic lows. I mean, back when it was at this range here, most of the projects, like, yeah, about like 2/3 of the projects in this index didn't even exist. So the fact that it's back at this range is pretty abysmal. Like, it's worth calling that historic lows. It's historic since the period when most of the projects in this index came in. So that's that for the charts. Of course, feel free to ask some questions if you have them. I'm going to quickly go through the crypto charts and then answer any questions. And then I'll go into the Martian Premier League cold review, which, as usual, disclaimer, is not a careful, in-depth review. I haven't talked to the founders, etc. Anyway, I'll give that disclaimer a bit later. Let's just have a quick look at the charts. So we can see that, as I said yesterday, I was like, well, you know, maybe by the end of the day, this will have gone back up, like, because it was red when I did the live stream yesterday, and I was like, oh, I've seen this before, and like, you know, it looks red, like here, and then by the end of the day, it's gone green, and that's what happened. It's sort of like rebounded very neatly off this line that I drew so casually before. And it's still like kind of going up. So it's still quite bullish, crypto, but gently bullish. So not pumping really hard, which is a great context for NFTs to do well. And Ethereum, as usual, is doing basically the same thing. So I note in the comments, people are saying NPL has such a wordy white paper. I'm not scared. I like words. I can deal with them. So, Martian Premier League. So, disclaimer, first of all, as usual, this is a cold review. It's not an objective review. It's not like the final word on Martian Premier League. I might miss some important stuff about it. I might be totally unfair. I might be extreme. In fact, I will be extremely biased and save it. I will be extremely biased and state things from my point of view, because that's what I'm offering here, like a kind of insight into how I think of this project when I approach it. And, you know, I miss on great opportunities all the time. So the fact that I don't like it, for example, if I do end up not liking it, doesn't mean it's a bad project. It is just hopefully seeing the insight into my thinking process can help you form your own insights, whether you agree or disagree, and both of those are fine. So, cold look. Well, first of all, I quite like this art. It's a neat website. That looks nice. I like this. So, welcome to Mars. 10,000 Genesis characters. These characters form the basis of Professor Gaffer's new society being built on Mars, because there's a bit of lore story type thing. Gaffer's first focus is Martian Premier League, a new football league formed of humans and Martians that he hopes will not be like the mess he left back on Earth. So it's a bit of story there, which is a way to engage people. It doesn't engage me as somebody who wants to invest in startups, basically, but it doesn't repel me either. So I'll continue reading based on this. So there's nothing to scroll here. You kind of have, I'm just going to see what's in the menu here. Life on Mars, team white paper. So I'll look at the website first before the white paper. The story so far, blah, 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 some lore. I mean, it's interesting, but I'm not going to go into depth in that, because for me, that's not as interesting. It's good that they've put some effort into that, if that's part of their value proposition. let's just have a quick, I'm just having a quick read. The reason why I'm having a quick read is because I want to see what sort of attention to detail there is to the writing. I have written short stories as a hobby. I care about writing, and I like errors kind of stand out to me. So I'm evaluating the quality of the writing as part of my evaluation of the project. So, not a man to sit still when confronted with injustice, Gaffer took to social media and found that he was not alone. A beautiful game had become corrupted. Build a new football league that would embody the values of the game he used to know and love. Well, it's well written. It's not very sort of literary writing, but it's clear and it's well written, so that's nice. So I think, well, let's look at the team first. So there's not a lot on the website, first of all. It's worth noting. I guess it's all going to be on the white paper. So it's a docs team. That's a good sign. So Creative Heartbeat, having worked digital agencies for 10 years. So it seems like there's a bunch of people who have done Harry Potter type stuff. So I'm worrying this Premier League has some kind of Quidditch vibes. Strategy partner, professional services firm. Has the job that would most please the other's parents. What was that? An early blah 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 blah. So they're all docs. There's a proper team there. The Zenek has an advisor. That's usually a good sign. In fact, I think they're in the 333 club, which is also a good sign. So people have been in crypto for a while. Okay, so some words about these people. Like, none of them stand out as none of them are people that I've heard of before. But they seem to be like genuine and committed to the project. Possibly I'd want to talk to them as part of my evaluation, get in touch with them on the Discord, see how available they are, suggest some kind of little criticism of the project, see how they react. That would be part of my evaluation if I was deciding to invest in this. But let's dig into the white paper. So it's one of those Gitbook sites. Welcome to Mars. I'm going to try and skip over all the lore type stuff. What's in the disclaimer? Living document. Yeah, okay. Vision from Mars. Our vision. Okay, I like this, that it states up front. Like, much like yesterday, it's good that it states up front, what the hell are you trying to build? And I want to know that. And a lot of projects just don't say that. They just say, oh, we're doing a 10,000K, like a 10K PFP project. Why? Like, what's the point of all this? Why not just, draw some things on some piece of paper? I don't know. Our vision is to develop a new entertainment franchise that will be expressed through a number of projects in Gaffer's new society. The first will be the Martian Premier League. We'll bring together movie studio collected art with Web3 technology, with a world-class and experienced team capable of delivering a multi-year roadmap that will push the limits of Web3 technology to bring value to our community holders. Okay, so a new entertainment franchise is the crux of it. I like the fact that there's stuff in bold. I don't like the stuff in bold is not actually the stuff that's important, apart from this new entertainment franchise. I think it's like bold characters are really underused features of this kind of documents, because when you're skimming, the bold stuff, like, it should be possible to get the sense of what the whole thing is saying just by reading the bold bits. A great example of that is if you read Ray Dalio's book, Principles, like actually most of his Principles books, he actually structured them so that if you just read the bold bits, which are like less than 10% of the book, you'll have got most of the value out of the book, and you can read the rest if you've got more interest in more of the stuff. But here, like, they've put lots of random stuff in bold, which is not that helpful, except for the new entertainment franchise. Okay, so they're building an entertainment franchise, as in it's kind of like an artist launch pad, but a bit more commercial, I guess. They're trying to create some kind of an entertainment universe like Marvel or something like that, which is hard. And I think it's harder as a group than as an individual artist in a way, because that's my sense as a sort of occasional artist myself. There'll be your character who's going with Professor Gaff to build. Holders will first reward with the ability to create. Okay, so there's a bit of a typo there, but living document, I guess maybe is being edited frequently, so maybe that's why. I don't know. Ability to own a character. Okay, and I'm still not getting that much clarity about what it is. Deep narrative and gameplay, like, you know, what are you going to do with this NFT? Okay, so there's a play and earn game. You know that Gaffer hates a Ponzi scheme, right? So hopefully you haven't designed one by mistake. It'd be very unfortunate to upset Professor Gaffer. Focus on playing and earning rather than playing purely as a means of earning. So that's the question then, is the game actually fun? If like, so as an entertainment franchise, they're starting with a game, it sounds like. Inspirations, DeFi Kingdoms, all this kind of stuff, traditional gaming. Well, I like all these games, so that's cool. Visual landscapes. So art, like, interesting that for them, art and creative notes is all about the visuals, rather than the like somehow the world building and lore is not part of the art and creative notes. Okay, so they're clearly like thinking quite a lot about this. More about the founders. This is exactly the same thing. Okay, roadmap. So here, hopefully, we're going to get these roadmap items that, well, where's the roadmap? Oh, this is the roadmap. Okay, this is not the most digestible information at the moment. Like, in a way, I almost prefer when they present a sort of really bad roadmap that's clearly digestible as like it is what it is, and then I can be like, yeah, this is empty, you know, merch, raffle, this, that, and I'm like, yeah, okay, these are all completely worthless. Here, I'm not so sure yet whether they have something that different, but it's kind of wrapped in also different layers that make it harder for me to tell, which is not so helpful for me doing a cold review, certainly. So first, much travel and acclimatize the players to Mars and have them socialize, train. So that's kind of a wrapper for the mint. And that's a way to say we're going to do some kind of Martian Cup competition type thing with a straight knockout competition of randomly assembled teams. Okay, so there's going to be some sort of game there. I'm not sure how much fun a straight knockout competition of randomly assembled teams is from a fun perspective. Find the space to build the first stadiums on Mars. I'm not sure what that means. Some kind of land release or something. I don't know. Finally, once the players are trained, the teams have, yeah, it is land. So we're gonna buy land in the metaverse, is what this means. And then the fun will kick off. So I mean, what's missing for me? And I'm not saying that necessarily they don't have that, but what they've got here is, if we translate this into English, this is, we're gonna mint some NFTs. We're gonna have a really basic game for people to play. We're going to buy some metaverse land, and then we're going to release the next roadmap. That's not a lot to go on. I mean, I would get, if I wanted to invest in this, I would go and talk to the founders and try and get more of a sense of what they're planning to do there. But based on this roadmap, which is not a clear roadmap, I had to translate it into English. Okay, so if they aren't buying metaverse land and they're building some kind of metaverse land, either way, it's metaverse land. It's like mint, basic game, metaverse land, and next we'll tell you what the next bit of the roadmap is. So that's not a lot to go on. The team has decent credentials in that they are, like, you know, part of this kind of space of creating games, so that buys some trust. But it's not a very clear. It's not very clear to me why this game is particularly different from the tens of thousands of games that are created every year that aren't that successful or fun. 9,000 humans and 1,000 Martians. Once you own a player. Yeah, somebody in the comments is saying that they have been releasing more info in the Discords, in the AMAs, and that's great. And, like, you know, that should form part of more complete research. And of course, when I'm doing this review here, this cold review, I'm using what I can, what I find. I might go into the Discord and look if there's something published there. But, you know, that's kind of part of the feedback maybe to pass to them, is if they are doing all sorts of interesting stuff, talk about it. Present it on the website. There's going to be people who do the research in this way as well, and who, when they don't see anything interesting up front on the website, just go like, yeah, you know what, this is not this is not for me. Roughly how good at football are they? So yeah, I mean, from like one thing I will say, like somebody points out in the comments as well, that is like there's sort of management of a player team, and there's a number of games that are successful in this space. There's like all sorts of football team managers and stuff like that are quite, like, have been quite popular. Like, not FIFA. I mean, FIFA is like more actually playing the games, but God, I can't remember what it's called, but there was one that was very, very successful. I've never gotten into those, probably because I don't like football, but those have been successful. And if they've emulated such a game but added some kind of P2E thing into it, well, it depends how well they do it. So I wouldn't invest in it because I don't like those kinds of games. But if you are into these kinds of games, those sort of football management things, then what I would do is really sort of dig into, like, how is the, like, you know, are they realistically going to create a game that is actually fun to play, even without earning the footy utility token? Because if it's just fun, if the only point of playing this is to earn this footy utility token, and actually the game is not that much fun, then I think its lifetime is quite limited, because ultimately, you know, the way the economics work out, you can't, like, it's like a casino. You can't have all the people walk out with more money than they came in. Ultimately, somebody's got to pay for all this, and so that's an important question there about, like, is the game actually fun? Now, I don't find this type of game fun, so I wouldn't invest in this, but clearly some people do. Like, there was a game like this, which the name escapes me now, for football managers, which was extremely popular. So there are some people who are going to find this kind of stuff really fun. But I don't, so therefore I'm not going to be able to evaluate whether the game is actually fun. But if you want to invest in this, I would evaluate how likely is it that they're going to build a fun version of this game, particularly if you ignore the utility token, if you ignore the play to earn element, or play and earn. Is it actually going to be a fun game? And it can be quite a difficult exercise to remove that play and earn or play to earn element, but that's to me that's going to be the critical point that determines the long-term success of this. I mean, they could build something, like, even if they build if they build something that's only worth playing when you're earning footy tokens and when you're actually making money from it, basically, then it's kind of like a job. And the question is, who's paying for all this? Why is somebody paying you to play this game? And what are they getting out of it? Chances are they're just another you who's hoping to make some more money from you playing the game. And we end up with a kind of Axie Infinity sort of scenario, which is not sustainable in the long term. But if the game is actually worth playing and they've just added this kind of, well, you actually also earn something with it, that could work. Yeah, the rest is just more details about the game. I would, like, you know, I mean, clearly some people who are watching the stream have already quite a lot of information about Martian Premier League, and probably are already invested. If you're not invested yet, I would focus on the game, because that's the thing that, like, you know, forget about the creative universe. What would they say? The new entertainment franchise. They're building a game, first of all. If the game doesn't work, if the game isn't fun, none of the other stuff that they want to do is going to happen, because it's just not going to get anywhere. So is the game actually fun? And how high you want to place the bar for this depends on your own interests in the gaming world, I guess. Is Axie Infinity fun? In my view, no. Did it make a fuck ton of money? Yeah. But not in a sustainable way, I think, and they're finding that now. So yeah, I don't feel like there's that much more to dig into. I mean, I can have a quick look at the art, but I've already said I kind of like the art. Yeah, it's not this, clearly. Maybe it's this. No. Probably use the link here. Where is the OpenSea? Can't find the OpenSea. Yeah. So I quite like the art style, like the David Bowie guy. Yeah, my conclusion there is it's all about the pivotal point is the game. The rest is going to be nice, but it's not where the success or failure of this business is going to be. It's going to be, is it a fun game? And is it a fun game to play, even if there isn't a play to earn thing? Will anybody want to play this just because it's fun? Will anybody, and most importantly, will anybody be willing to pay to play this? People like Fortnite is a successful game that could have NFTs as well. Like they could sell the skins that they sell as NFTs. But the point is people play Fortnite because it's fun. And it happens to be free, but probably many people would still pay for playing Fortnite, even if it wasn't free. And in fact, they pay by buying skins and so on. If you added earning tokens to Fortnite, it would still be a fun game. It would maybe change the incentives a little bit, so you'd get a different breed of players coming in and stuff, so it need to be done very carefully, but it would still be a fun game. The question is, the game that they're building here, the football manager style game, which they say here, the football manager style game is the cornerstone of this project. If they build a game there that's fun, maybe not as much fun as Fortnite, because that's one of the most successful games of all time, but let's say it's a comparable level of fun to that football manager game that I've forgotten about now, which was quite successful, Premier League Manager or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. If they do something as much fun, at least as much fun as that, and they manage to sprinkle some play to earn or play and earn on top of it without disrupting the game mechanics too much, yeah, it might work out. I mean, if you're a gamer and you like to play this kind of game, I'd ask yourself, do I believe that they're going to build a game of this sort that I'd be willing to pay, $50 to play? And if you wouldn't be willing to pay $50 to play the game that they're building, it starts to be questionable whether they are actually building a Ponzi without wanting to. Because if the only reason to play the game is to make money, then it's a Ponzi. I mean, it's an unsustainable project, which I so shorten as Ponzi's. So that's the question, and I can't answer that question. I think you'll have to go into a much more in-depth evaluation to answer that question. But hopefully this perspective is helpful, and seeing how I've gone through these notes and translated I think this is a really helpful thing to do, by the way, when you see a roadmap that's, where is it? It was here. That's kind of confusing and tries to sort of wrap things and make them different and stuff. Try and work out what actually is this, what does this actually say? Okay, there's maybe some staking type thing to train the players or something, but basically it's you mint the players, and this, you have some kind of knockout competition game and so on. So try and translate things into plain English. And a good rule of thumb, I think, is if you can't translate the roadmap or the plans or whatever into plain English, assume it's not your fault, but their fault, because they haven't communicated it clearly enough. Don't let people bamboozle you with fancy language. If they can't express clearly what the project is, then that's a problem with them, not a problem with you. And it's not that you're not smart enough to understand their thing, is that they're not smart enough to explain it clearly. That's a kind of principle I like to follow, which I think probably most people should. Let me have a quick read through the comments here, but I think they're all just supporting the review, or commenting on the review. If you're watching this later, it might be worth watching this with the comments open, with the live chat open, so you can see the stuff that people have commented, because there's additional information there and pointers to apparently there's an AMA today about the training of the players, which begins in the May training camp. They're creating a comic of 3 different rarities. I mean, comic books, I always find it this whole comic books thing, a small parenthesis there, but that's valid because somebody brought it up. Comic books are not like a thriving industry that's making billions of dollars. Comic books are basically, as I understand it, I looked up the stats at one point. They're basically largely subsidized by the comic book movies that have come out recently. But it's kind of like, it's a very small industry that's quite cutthroat. Most of the comics like just barely survive and barely make money and stuff. Coming up with a comic is not a positive thing for your cash flow. It's an expensive thing that's likely to return absolutely no money. Just because people like are excited about comic books because they liked comic books when they were kids doesn't make something a good business. And so, like, when I see, yeah, we're going to come up with a comic, I'm like, okay, so like in my mind, I make that equivalent to, okay, we're going to burn $50,000 on, some kind of hype. That's all that a comic brings you, I think. Very welcoming community. Well, I would hope so. That will help them. Okay, cool. Well, it's 36 past. If anybody has one last question before I jump off, I'd be happy to answer it. Otherwise, it's probably time to call it a day and come back tomorrow. Let me put the music back on, just, because it's tradition. We can't mess with tradition, especially not in NFTs. But yeah, thank you very much for dialing in. Hopefully tomorrow what we see is that this has continued to consolidate and go up. Question, do you stream every day at 9 a.m. EST? Pretty much. I mean, there are some occasions where I just can't do a stream. There will even be sometimes occasions where I can't do a thread. I try to do a thread every day, even more so. But I can't always. Like, there was one day recently when I was driving all day and I just didn't have the strength to do a thread at the end of the day. There's a couple of questions there. What is Zeneca and what is women? If you scroll to the description of this video, you'll see links to the data sets. Those are data sets, basically. Zeneca used to do these charts, these daily floor stats, and he had kind of two different data sets, old projects and new projects. And I just borrowed those data sets. And Ali Sinclair, who's actually here right now, put together a list of women-led projects, and I turned that into an index as well. Yeah, that's where those data sets come from, and you can find the exact composition of these projects in the description, in the links in the description. There's a Google spreadsheet and a thread by Ali. Review on drug receipts next video, please. Jump into Discord and mention it there, and I'll add it to the project reviews. I think there's only 3 at the moment for the next vote. So the next one will actually be the hug. I think that's the one that has the most votes from the previous batch. So we can have another one for the next batch. So just jump into the Discord, which is also linked in the description. Cool. Right. Let's have the music back. Thank you very much. I hope you all have a lovely day. I hope the market continues going up. Thank you, Ali. That would be really helpful. And also, actually, the hug, I think you might want to talk to the hug, because I think they're compiling lists of women-led projects as well. I hope this was useful. Please remember that this review of Martian Premier League is just my perspective and my opinion. It's not an absolute objective review in any way, shape or form, and it's probably missing a lot of stuff that's in AMAs and on the Discord and so on. But it's what I can get from this kind of quick 20-minute review or so. Have a lovely day. Thank you for your attention. See you tomorrow maybe. Take care.